afternoon, I'm Mai Rodriguez and this is Newsfeed. We begin with good news for our local farmers. President Bongbong Marcos orders a halt in rice importation for 60 days. This comes after a consultation with his cabinet on the sidelines of his 5-day state visit to India and upon the recommendation of Agriculture Secretary Francisco Tu Laurel Jr. The directive takes effect on September 1st. The palace says while the suspension aims to ease pressure on Filipino rice producers, no decision has been made yet on increasing import tariffs. Protesters gather outside the Senate ahead of a critical 3 p.m. session, urging lawmakers to proceed with the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte. This despite the Supreme Court declaring the impeachment void, citing violations in due process and the one-year bar rule. The lower house has filed a motion for reconsideration now pending, while senators remain divided on whether to continue or not. Some insist on following the Supreme Court's ruling, while others argue the public deserves to see the evidence in a full trial. Senator Tulfo exposes alleged congressman contractor ties in the flood control projects of the Department of Public Works and Highways. As Hannity reports, Senator Erwin raised concern about massive funds stuck in incomplete projects dominated by a single company.
At least 10 congressmen are government contractors. That's according to Senator Erwin Tulfo, who's now raising the alarm on what could be a web of corruption in DPWH flood control projects.
Sa info ko, hindi ko sila kilala lahat, pero meron mga contractor kongresista. Probably 10 siguro, mga 10 or more.
This after President Bongbong Marcos pointed out failed flood control projects in his recent SONA and how lawmakers may be involved. Tulfo says the problem runs deep, with some congressmen allegedly profiting off public funds, while projects remain stalled or unfinished. Even worse, he claims a single contractor cornered projects worth 20 billion each in Oriental and Occidental Mindoro. This, he says, is why PBBM ordered a hold on flood control fund releases flagged for irregularities.
20 billion sa Oriental, 20 billion sa Occidental, lumobo, and unfortunately lumalabas isa lang ang kontraktor. Isang kumpanya lang.
Should the Senate carry out an investigation, Tulfo says it's up to the involved officials to show up, since Congress observes parliamentary courtesy.
Pwede na sabihin na, teka muna, ayaw naman namin pumunta dyan. Ano ito, bastusan, baka ganun eh. Baka mapahiya naman kami. Nasa kanila kung gusto nilang mag-appear.
Tulfo also confirmed that DPWH Undersecretary Roberto Bernardo has taken a 3-month leave amid an ongoing investigation. Senator Imee Marcos earlier mentioned he may have been kicked out of the department. Tulfo believes more high-ranking officials will be removed soon.
Pero may mga masisibak po, definitely. May masisibak. You know, that's one thing for sure. May masisibak ng mga USEC, may masisibak ng mga ASEC, may masisibak ng mga RD, may masisibak ng mga DE.
Tulfo describes a systemic modus. Cuts of up to 45% are allegedly taken from each project to pay off regional and district officials and local politicians. As a result, many projects are barely 20% complete or never even started. As of this report, DPWH has yet to issue a statement. Hannity, Billionario News Channel.
Silence marks Tuesday morning in Japan as the nation marks the 80th anniversary of the atomic bombing in Hiroshima. Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba led the ceremony, reminding the world of the horrors unleashed after the U.S. dropped the bomb on August 6, 1945. He also offered his condolences to the victims and their families.
80年前の今日
What happened on that day 80 years ago under the mushroom cloud? The city was reduced to ash, the people were charred black, and those who had been living happily just moments before were turned into shadows in an instant by the 4,000-degree heat. Most of the victims were ordinary citizens. I was speechless at the thought that people's dreams and bright futures had been ruthlessly taken away in an instant. We must never repeat the devastation brought upon Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Around 140,000 were killed not just by the atomic blast, but also months and years later by the radiation. Prime Minister Ishiba says it is Japan's mission to take the lead toward a world without nuclear weapons. And it's almost showtime for the local staging of the hit musical Into the Woods. The cast will have a red carpet affair later at the Samsung Performing Arts Theater in Makati. Broadway star Lea Salonga leads the star-studded ensemble alongside actress/comedian Eugene Domingo, singer Mark Bautista, and Film Blues Clues star Josh De La Cruz. This will also be the Philippine stage debut of Lea's only child, Nick Chen. Night 1 begins Thursday, August 7th. Stay with the Billionaire News channel. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Good afternoon.